welcome everybody to an all-new episode of GVN Review. Today, we will be breaking down the brand new Mortal Kombat movie. I know a lot of you were expecting us to break down Annihilation, but no. Just no. But we have a great group here tonight, starting off with Trevon. What's going on, Trevon?
Hey, everybody. I'm happy to be here, ready to talk about this. I had a lot of fun with this, so can't wait.
Good. I like hearing good things about this movie. We need it. Because I feel like there'll be some disrespect here, so we need the balance. My brother Pete, what's going on, Pete?
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Salud. Happy, what's today? Wednesday? Halfway there.
It is Wednesday.
That's when you know you're busy in life, where you just go, wait, what's the day? Like, I know
they all blend together after a while.
Dan, what's going on, Dan?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
You actually just broke down Mortal Kombat, the first movie, not too long.
Did, yes.
And
I wish I had watched that again over this.
Oh no! Okay.
Wow.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I felt like the disrespect was coming. Like I said, we have to have a balance here. Tia, what's going on, Tia?
Yeah, I thought today was Tuesday all day until then. Probably about 2 hours ago, I was like, "Oh, it's Wednesday. That's right." They don't matter anymore. Weekends, weekdays, they don't. I wanted to say that I won't probably be. It will be a mixture of being happy about this movie, but then also pointing out the incredibly corny moments and the plot holes that just made absolutely no sense.
Fan service. Come on now. Fan service.
Yeah, and that's the thing I have to understand for, like, to a degree, it's probably fan service. And I'm not familiar with Mortal Kombat lore. I did not play the video game. So this is my thoughts coming from someone who really knows pretty much zero about this franchise.
I do like when you kind of paint it that way. So like when people listen, they because when you say it's cheesy, the first thing people want to say is exactly what Trevon said. You know this. We said it in the group chat. It was the first thing me and Kanan said. Well, the game is very much like that. Like,
it is.
It's very much like that. But before we get into it, a special guest for the first time on a GVN podcast. Because like I said, I'm used to going to Kinda Nerdy Dudes to podcast with Listener Jim. But how you doing, Listener Jim?
I'm doing great. You know, today's technically my Thursday. I only work 4 10-hour days a week. So tomorrow's Friday. I've been looking forward to this. I tell you, I've been taking a beating because of the remarks I've been making about this movie all week to friends at work who watched it, who weren't very familiar with it at all. They went into it blind. And so I've had some pretty strong feelings about it, and they've let me know about it. So
yeah, you messaged me, and when you told me that, I said, all right, when we podcast, I have to have him on here. Like, I gotta hear it. That's whenever someone has something negative to something I love, I just need to hear it. I need to hear what it was. See if I can maybe sway them. It never works, but it's worth a shot. All right. They always say start with love so you could end with hate. So I'm gonna start with Trevon, who actually really enjoyed the movie.
I did, yeah.
So go ahead and walk us through your thoughts on this Mortal Kombat movie, Trevon.
Okay. All right. So, but for how it started, I know this character is new, but I was excited about that. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I bring somebody brand new in it. This is somebody that I've never heard of. And I was okay. And then we knew that was Jax. When they broke the arms, like I didn't know how they were gonna do that. That was exciting, but of course they showed that in the previews and stuff. I wish they did some of the stuff. I wish they just didn't show in like previews or whatever they show. I was like, God, that would have been so much cooler to see it just in the movie. But whatever, it still was cool to see it regardless. But just I was like, well, it's coming, but somehow it's still exciting. I don't know. I love when movies do that. Like, even though he loses his arm somehow, something's gonna happen to him. Still fun. Like, I don't know. And then the concept of them cheating to, basically trying to go around having the tournament, like trying to kill them before. It kind of makes sense to me. And I was like, why wouldn't he do that? Why wouldn't they break the rules? They don't care. Like, we're gonna kill everybody. We're gonna do it. We're gonna try. Like, and we got one more win we need to. Let's kill everybody. Got this good. And if we actually do have this tournament, they'll lose. So that was the whole point. And I was like, this is cool. Like, I love how now I know, some Mortal Kombat stuff. I know who Jackson or Sonya Blade is. I know like the core people, and I know that they have abilities, but I don't remember them ever doing it like this, where it comes from like having that tattoo and they gain their abilities from kind of fighting and figuring it out. I don't think it was ever like that before. You guys can tell me that later. But I like that. I like that concept. I was like, okay, so they gain their abilities from fighting. They, you get the tattoo by killing somebody that has one, or, if you were born with one, like Cole. I just the concept of the whole movie was really fun for me. I mean, the flawless victory. When they say it, man, it's just corny, but it's so fun.
Corny.
It's corny, but it's fun. Like, it's just like, why they said it. It's fine. Like, it's completely fine. Kung, what was it? I want to say his name. Kung Lao.
Yeah.
The one that the hat. I'm sorry, the hat was amazing. The hat was my favorite character. I'm sorry. I love the hat. Love the hat.
Was my favorite character.
Love the hat. Like, I was so upset. I was like, no, you're taking the hat from me. The hat is amazing. I need the hat in the next movie. Like, don't do that. So hopefully they'll figure that out and bring it back some kind of way. Anyway, so let's see what else. Oh man. Sonya, we saw her ability like once. I was like, I want to see what else that would do. I mean, we saw what it can do. It's pretty damaging, but we'll see what else it could do. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, I'm just really excited to see Mekhi Brooks, Jax, Liu Lin, Liu Kang, and Louis Tan as Cole, because those are three I was really excited about anyway when it got announced. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I'll listen to you guys. What else you guys got to say? But I just had a blast. I don't know. It was just fun for me, man. Kano was a trip. Asshole, but great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I will say the flawless victory line. I accepted it mainly because anyone who plays the game knows that it's just a random voice that says it. So it's like that would have been weirder if like just a random voice comes out of flawless. Like,
but don't you think it's like a little arrogant? Like, he did it and he's like, flawless victory. It's like
it was.
To be fair to you, like I was telling you in the group chat, when you play Mortal Kombat after you've beaten someone, that's exactly what they do. They don't say flawless victory themselves, but like they taunt you in the idea of like, I just did that. So I'm like,
I know, but it's like from a video game perspective, it's different than in a movie perspective with actual people. I don't know. It was just like, as soon as you said it, I was like, oh no. I know that you had to work that line in somehow, but it had to be this way.
I won't disagree, but I will tell you, it's a thin line because you can't ask for accuracy, and then when you get it, you're upset on how you got the accuracy. So for a movie that I very much thought they would make mainstream, it's pretty accurate to the video games.
I don't know. I really appreciated it. I
loved it. But Dan, you were ready to jump in there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Usually when it happens, it was either Shang Tsung or Shao Kahn who would say it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So,
No, and I do think a lot of the dialogue of that nature, you do kind of save for when you do have the tournament. Because it is more kind of like, it would have been doper if like a spectator kind of said it, like, like someone in the crowd is kind of just like flawless victory, like that, or like you having people scream finish him. There's creative ways to do it, but again, it's like if it didn't have it at all, a lot of us would have been upset. So it's like you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. And that's kind of how I felt about the whole movie. Like, personally, I am extremely tired of every time we get a Mortal Kombat movie, which it's only really been 3 times. But in those each 3 times, it's always, all right, Earth, it's the last one. It's all you got. You better win this one. And it's like, well, we know they're going to win it. Like, I'd rather it be one of the first tournaments that they ever had. So it's like, well, shit, Earth could lose this one. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of adds to the element of like, they could get their ass whooped, and now we're looking, you know, they're down one. You know, how do you respond? So to me, that element is there for me with that. But I like that there was no tournament. Anyone who's played any of the more recent 4 or 5 games that has been released, it's not been about the tournament. It's been about everything outside of the tournament. Hell, one of them has been about trying to kill them before getting to the tournament. So I did appreciate that. And to me, it's like, I know a lot of people didn't like the idea of like, well, why are they trying to take him out before the tournament? It's like, well, he's a bad guy. So you don't really need to explain to me why a bad guy wants to cheat to assure victory. It makes complete sense. But again, I like that there was no tournament. Clearly, Raiden kept trying to tell people the entire movie, like, hey, I don't have a team. It's why you don't have a tournament yet. I'm trying to assemble a team. I do think we needed more Scorpion. I do think it would have been better if your introduction to a new character isn't off the back of the most iconic character, because it's very difficult for you to live up to that. And it's why Cole is getting all the shit that he's getting, is because it's like, oh man, well, I'll tell you now, it's probably going to come from this this panel here probably. But no, there are a lot of people that either don't respect him as an actor yet, or B, just did not like the choice of character. And to be fair, I said this, Pete, you agree with me. This is a move like this is something you introduce in a video game, and then you bring to the big screen. So I think if Cole had a video game to where people can kind of get used to the idea of it, all the hate can get out, all the love can get out, it would have just been more receptive in the movie. But when you spring that onto us, because no one expected that he'd be a descendant of Scorpion.
He was my least favorite thing about the whole movie. I enjoyed the movie, but he was completely dry and unconvincing. No disrespect to the actor. I don't even know the guy. I heard he was like a stuntman or something. But like, I just did not care one way or the other about the actor, except that he was obviously a descendant of Scorpion. Right. Like, I forget the guy's name, Cole McGuffin or something like that. I think that was his name, Cole McGuffin.
Yeah, it was like a last name that was supposed to throw you way off the trail.
I'm sorry,
Cole Young.
I threw a bit of a joke in there because he was a MacGuffin. He was nothing. He was a means to an end to the movie.
He was essentially Rey in The Last Jedi, to where it was just like, you're absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you're just gonna get us to where we need to be.
Right, and then when you get there, it's just like, oh no, wait, hold on, I'm sorry, I was wrong. You are someone. You're like the most important person's descendant.
Which is weird to use like such a character that's completely made up as the vehicle for that. You know, I don't want to like step on anyone before it's my turn, but like that's definitely something that I wonder. And again, I'm not even knowledgeable about the the franchise, but I still sat there and asked myself why they decided to do the focal point on a character that isn't in the video games. To me, it felt like when it was time for his Arcana like reveal, it didn't necessarily feel earned, because I'm like, we don't even know who this guy is. And by the way, it was really terrible too. It just looked like a sweater that they zipped up, and it's like, I don't know. Well, it was a suit.
I did like the idea of where they were trying to go, of the idea of it being like a scorpion armor, kind of like how scorpion skins are pretty thick. So I got where they were going with it. It was just, you don't make a character.
And the blades on his wrists were like the scorpion pincers. I didn't pick up on that shit at all.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of just like, I see where you guys are going with it, but it was a stretch. First of all, here's the bad thing. When you're a descendant of an iconic character like that, right? You kind of have to write that character to where he is just immensely a badass. Only problem was, whatever you felt about Cole, good or bad, it's nothing compared to the moment where you hear the words "get over here," and then it just reminds you of like, you'll never be Scorpion. Like, I'm sorry, you'll never be him. And it's why I'm like, just create a whole new character not attached to anybody, so at least if we don't like it, we can at least say, well, they're not trying to mess anything up. But I swear to you, I was terrified that this movie was going to end to where Scorpion was just like, it all is on you now, grandson. And I would have been like, no, don't you dare. Don't you. No. You will not pass this torch on. And we only got 10 minutes of you in this damn movie. But I love Sub-Zero. Joe is amazing. I'm a huge fan of the show Warriors. So I got to see Joe in that, and he is just freaking phenomenal. Tia did make a point, and Tia, I'll let you elaborate when I pass it to you, of the suits kind of being bulky. But I always chalk that up to first movies kind of do that, and then they kind of just get better. But when he takes it off, it's just like, yeah, that's Sub-Zero. Okay, that's much better. But yeah, I enjoyed a lot of this. Kung Lao is my boy. But when you kind of think about it, he was the only hero that had to go. Everyone else was essential. Part of me was kind of like, the coal's like right there.
It's the lead.
Like, I mean, come on. Do we need it? We got, Liu Kang right there. But no, I respect it. I am glad that Kung Lao got to do the turn the hat into a blade, cut her in half before he got his soul sucked. So he got his moment. He definitely got his moment there before.
The worst line ever. I'm sorry. That line too is right up there. Like, thank God he was wearing a mask, because I imagine that the actor underneath it was just cracking up the entire time he was saying that line. Supposed to get his soul sucked, and it's like,
oh yeah.
Accent.
Yeah.
The accent was awful.
Wait, the accent of who?
He was like a good fella.
Yeah. Well, you know who did the voice? The guy who played Charles Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was also in Justified. He played Boyd's lackey or something.
Oh, you're talking about Cabal. You're talking about Cabal.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I was so lost in everything that was just happening right there. I'm like, okay, now I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, they took liberties.
Cool, though.
And the very much anime unlocking of abilities is not a Mortal Kombat. It's very much what they did for the movies. It's not a video game thing. It might be in some of the newer games. I don't recall, but it's not an original concept.
No, it's just for the movie. I looked it up.
Yeah.
It was very much kind of like, you have to find yourself. And it was just like, but wait, if you have to find yourself, but you were born with the tag of Mortal Kombat, why wasn't that something that just unlocked from birth? Like, why would you give that to them if you're telling them ultimately they have to earn it? Like, weird.
Do you want a 3-year-old throwing fireballs in the kitchen?
I mean, why not? Why not?
No.
I don't know, man.
No.
Why not?
Puberty, at least, bro. Puberty.
I tell you right now, if there's a chance that my 3-year-old son can Get Over Here, I'm taking it. Are you serious?
For them to do it to you?
Yeah, I tell you what, I'll never have to get a phone call about him being beat up at school, like he got into a fight. It'll always be
killed him.
Yeah, why not? As soon as he walks through the door, how many fatalities today, son? 7?
Right there with him.
Mr. Carter, your son was running around with his skull head again. We've told you that he's not allowed to do this.
He keeps scaring the other kids. I'm like,
the third child this week.
Third child this week, he's threatened to drag down the hell. Well, look, it happens. But no, overall, I did enjoy this. I was upset, to your point, Trevon, of Sub-Zero being how Jax lost his arms. I'm always a fan for Goro to be how Jax loses his arms. I said that to you when we broke down the trailer, Trevon. It's the visual of it. It's when you think of Mortal Kombat and how brutal it is, to think of Goro taking Jax and just spreading his arms apart so they yank off, always a beautiful visual. I think that was actually how it was done, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, in the original Mortal Kombat movie. Didn't Goro take his arms off?
No, in Annihilation, he gets implants over his arms.
Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge, the animated movie.
Yes. Yeah.
See, I think that's where it's easier to do that. I think that's where it's easier to do that without pulling him apart or something. I think it would be worse.
But that's essentially what Sub-Zero did. He froze his arms and then he just pulled them off.
Yeah, but he kind of froze the arms so they just cracked off. Kind of it'll be difficult to do Goro pulling. I don't know.
He's right. Trevon's right. They did make a point to say that the ice cauterized the wounds, as opposed to you're just a fountain of blood on both sides.
Because he would have bled out. Like they wouldn't even have gotten him to the place.
Very fair. But to me, I'm always like, when you introduce a character that's supposed to be strong, I like you to implement, and I don't think they implemented how strong Goro is really in this movie. So that's why I'm like, showing that he could rip arms off, not arms that are pre-dislocated, fresh arms. He can rip them right off. It shows the audience like, God damn, okay.
I was worried though. After he broke them off, he pushed them over, and he hit something on the way down. I was like, what did he hit?
Well, first of all, he hit it so hard, and I think the audience was just like, oh man, is he already part cyborg? It's like, no. He should have been dead from whatever he hit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I was like, well, I already saw him in other trailers. So he's alive, but whoo, if I didn't see that, I would thought he was dead.
Dan, I'm going to pass it. Well, no. Before I pass it to you, Dan, Pete did say some nice things about this. So I'm gonna keep the nice train rolling.
Dan is just winding it up over there.
I'm going to pass it to you, Pete. I want to pose this question to you. Regardless of if you loved or hated, did you feel at the end of this movie any semblance of accuracy to the games?
That's a tough question for me to answer because, admittedly, I think the last game that I played through was probably like Ultimate Mortal Kombat Trilogy. So it's been a while. I try to keep up with this somewhat of the storyline, and every time they come out with a new game, I'll watch a YouTube video on the fatalities because I find the storyline fun and I find the fatalities just awesome. I still love the game. I just suck at it. So there's really no reason for me to get it and play it. I'm not good with Midway's fighting style. I'm a Street Fighter guy. I jump in, hit you, jump out, and that's it. That dash thing, and I can't do it. So it's best if I know my limits. But I love it. I did like to see some of the fatalities that I know, like Kung Lao's hat, buzzsaw. That was dope. There was a couple of characters in there that I'm like, why are you here? And then when they got killed, I'm like, oh, that's why they were here. Because even though there's characters we want to see, nobody wants to see their favorite character get sunned in the first flick. So you got to have cannon fodder. Like, I would have loved to see Smoke, but I don't want Smoke to get killed. I would have loved to see Noob Saibot. Maybe Sub-Zero comes back as him in the next flick. But, like, you know, I don't want to have my favorite character like, come on, man, they brought him in and they killed him in the first round. You can't do that to him. No, we have a lot of characters in Mortal Kombat that we don't need in more than one movie. So it was good to see at least, you know, I have to disagree. I thought Cabal's accent was hilarious. I was like, oh, this Joker sounds like me. I'm good. And I liked, you know, seeing the dragon and actually having it a bit more realistic than I think there was something like that in Annihilation, but I've blacked a lot of that movie out.
Ooh, yeah, it's best too.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the choreography in the beginning. Like, seeing Scorpion fight with the spear, instead of just throwing it at somebody, you harpoon me, pull them over, but to actually see it being twirled around like a weapon, like the Chinese rope trick thing, that was fascinating. That reminded me of the little schoolgirl from Kill Bill with the giant ball and chain. She's swinging around.
Yeah,
that shit was really dope.
Yep.
I had two major gripes with the flick, and that was, first and foremost, I did not want Scorpion's descendant to have to help him beat Sub-Zero. We're just waiting for the rivalry, and you need help to beat your ancient enemy? No, bullshit. Like, he should have been able to do that by himself. Like, go, youngin', go save your family. I got this. That hurt. I thought it was a waste of Goro. Like, you just brought Goro in to get beaten by this Joker. Like, no. Switch places. If you're going to have Goro fight Cole, fine. Switch spots and have General Reiko and Jax in, you know, some countryside so Jax could do his fatality. Because all along with having a waste of Goro, we had a waste of a pit. They're on the pit and then nobody gets knocked into the spikes. That would have been a perfect death for Goro instead of that Baraka style, you know, slashing of his guts. Like, that was boring. That's not how I want to see Goro go out. You got to kill Goro, like throw his ass down the pit or something. And that was really my two major things. I know it was corny. I was going into this knowing it was going to be probably just as corny as the first one and just look better. And I was fine with. I had steeled myself toward that conclusion and I was good with it. And I'm pretty sure, according to the storyline, Kung Lao gets killed like all the time. Like he's
all the time.
He's Cliff Jumper. He's Kenny. He's just the guy.
Oh my god! When they're making the video games, they legit just go, like whenever someone walks in, it's like, all right, who's dying in this game? Everyone just looks at him like really intensely, like, dog, Kung Lao, as always. And it's like, what are we talking about here?
Because I think they mentioned that Liu Kang was the descendant in one. I don't know if it was an old game, an old movie, whatever, and like he got killed by Shang Tsung. So I was like, yeah, I'm expecting that.
Yeah.
All in all, I enjoyed the movie, and Kano was obviously my favorite guy. That will hell of a character.
Hell yes. And to everyone out there who is not familiar with the games, Kano will be back. And you know this if you know the games, because Kano is supposed to get the mech face. Right. And just because he died and like his Arcana, I still can't get used to saying that stupid shit. But because his ability died with him, when you see him resurrected, the eye beams will still be there, but it'll be a lot worse, or a lot better for him, I guess, however you want to view it. I do agree with you, Pete. The most recent Mortal Kombat games have been very heavy in environments where, like, you could throw them into, like, a rock spike.
Right.
I thought this could have used that more, used the environments a lot more. Also, I told you, Pete, and it was when I paused the movie and let out the biggest angry scream I could. When each of the heroes went to face their villains individually, that's when you play the iconic Mortal Kombat song.
Yeah.
And they didn't, and I'm just like, how do you waste an opportunity? Like, that's the battle cry. Like how everyone's waiting for Cap to say Avengers Assemble. That's what I always wait for in a Mortal Kombat property. When will the theme hit?
You should just record it and redub it and show them how it's done.
That's what I should do, right? I'm just like, as soon as you see them each like find their who they're going to, which, by the way, I'm with you, Pete. If I'm Liu Kang, I'm standing there and I'm just like, Raiden, why is he calling out plays? Who is this guy? What is happening here? You know what I'm saying? It would be like if I can't even think of like a comparison, but like a brand new event. It'd be like if Spider-Man in Endgame was just like, all right, start. You're doing that. Cap, you're doing that. It's just like, who are you? Why are you talking? Like, the big boys are here. Relax. And also, I didn't get enough Liu Kang. I'm sorry. The guy that's the heart and soul of almost every iteration of Mortal Kombat, and he just gets one dope-ass move. Come on, guys. Come on. But yeah, that's probably my biggest gripe. You don't play the Mortal Kombat song, and then when you play it in the end credits, it's
some weird updated version that nobody asked for.
I don't know, man. If I ever get to speak to that director, he would be like, wait, I'm so confused. Did you hate my movie or love it? And I'm like, I love
yes.
how much certain parts of it I hated. That's all I can say to you. But no, Jim, I'm gonna go over to you. What were your thoughts on Mortal Kombat?
If I would have never saw the '90s movies, I would have liked it. Okay, but I'm old school. I'm 55 years old. The '90s. I love the '90s movies. I watch the '90s movies. Actually, I probably watch those movies probably twice a year. Every year I watch them because I love the '90s movies. This new one, I can't understand how, Liu Kang was, like you said, the heart and soul of this whole franchise, in the games and everything. He's always been the guy. For him to be kind of a sub character in the background is really, really nothing. I mean, he really didn't do anything in this movie. You didn't have Raiden really guiding them through trying to pull them together to be a team. I thought he just kind of was in the background too. And the whole Cole Young thing, I didn't get it from the beginning. Like I said, I love the actor. I loved him in like Into the Badlands. I loved that show. He was in it. But it just didn't. I mean, Shang Tsung never. He took one soul the whole movie. I mean, the Mortal Kombat that I knew and loved and grew up with, Shang Tsung, he was taking souls. He was kicking ass and taking souls. And it just didn't happen. It just didn't. If I would have never saw those movies and watched it, I would have loved it. Visually, it was great. Kano ripping the heart out and sitting there. That was fucking fantastic. I loved it, you know, and the laser beam in the eye. I loved all that part, but it just didn't stick true to the original Mortal Kombat for me. And I even loved Annihilation too.
Oh my God! What?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever heard those words in the same sentence.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
I mean, like I said, I watch those movies at least a couple times a year. I'll just put them on as kind of like my little guilty pleasure thing whenever I'm here by myself and I want to watch a movie and just enjoy it by myself. Those are the movies I watch, you know.
I mean, I stand tall with that first Mortal Kombat, which is why, Dan, listening to that episode was a little bit emotional for me. I stand very tall on that first movie. But Annihilation was just like, I don't think they understood what they did with the first one. Like, clearly everyone was just like, forget all that good stuff we just did. We're just going to take it to like the worst extremes possible. And it's just like, I don't like any of this. But what I do like about this franchise that I'm like, I need more people to kind of, even if you didn't like it, just say you did. So like Warner Brothers doesn't freak out and try to axe the whole universe. Because they tease a lot of characters that I want to see. I mean, a lot of people who aren't familiar with Mortal Kombat think the guy that they saw stealing souls is the main bad guy. No, there is someone out there that even he fears. So I'm like, I want to get to that. I don't know. I guess I just didn't let certain. Oh, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
But how can you not even have a Johnny Cage?
No. I liked not having Johnny Cage, and here's why. You remember when you would play a game like back when games really were doing this, and you had to unlock certain characters. Like the bigger name characters, sure. You had to unlock. You had to go through the whole journey, beat certain people, and unlock that guy. And when you did, it was just like, yes, finally. To me, Johnny Cage should be used like that. He should be that one coveted character you have to earn. And I always say only true Mortal Kombat fans knew. All we had to hear was, well, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Hollywood. That was all. I didn't need the poster. I already knew where they were going from that moment. Sure. As soon as he said Hollywood, just, Johnny Cage. So to me, I like that because now in the second movie, Johnny Cage can be your focus. It's all about recruiting Johnny Cage. But if he were in this, I think he would have been used the same way Liu Kang was. So it's like it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't. If you put him in this, he's a side character because Cole has to be the focus. So it's like, cool, let Cole breathe in this. Let the audience let him know that we don't need Cole to be the focus going forward. And we can get that second movie where Cole's in it, not a focus, and we can let Johnny Cage flow naturally into the role that he belongs in, which is very much a lead kind of guy. So to me, I did appreciate that. At the beginning, as Trevon, when we broke down the trailer, I did not like the idea that he wasn't in it. But after you see it and you see what they did to some of the bigger characters, you're kind of like, maybe it was good that they kind of left that to the side for us to kind of earn that.
Quick question.
Go ahead, Trevon.
Quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, nobody attacked me for this question because I don't know the answer to it.
I will. Don't worry.
Oh, God. Okay, so when they kept, I think what they said is elder gods. They kept mentioning the elder gods are too lazy, they don't care, or something they kept saying. Has there ever been a thing like in the games, like the elder gods coming to do something, like, I don't know, stop them? Or
so what happens is usually Raiden always finds a way to keep things in order to some degree, so it never necessarily gets too out of control for them to necessarily step in. But they're there for a reason. But I think the point that Shao Tsung was trying to make was they're not really going to come over this. Like, and, you know, it would have been good if maybe the Elder God stepped in at some point and was just like, enough, goddamn. Like, we got a whole tournament we need people alive for. But I did kind of like the idea of, like, they don't really care. Not really.
Has Raiden's power always been the ability to teleport people everywhere? Was that always a thing?
Yes and no. It's always been lightning and thunder, really.
I know lightning, but I never knew him to do that.
But he could teleport himself.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Raiden's one of those gray areas to where it's like his power level is more so whatever the game likes it to be, really. So it didn't shock me that he could go from just doing himself to now he can kind of just teleport everybody, I guess.
Speaking of powers, and I don't remember this, but Jim, you're saying one of your gripes was that Shang Tsung only sucked out one soul. Did he even change into anybody else? We didn't see that, right?
No.
All right, so that maybe that's a holdover for a second movie. But yeah, like when you mentioned that, I was like, yo, did this dude transform or what? I don't think so. Also, and he was doing that a lot in the first movie too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Dan, I'm going to pass this over to you. I want to say this. I do think, because Pete, we're seeing it now with G.I. Joe, and that's a property we never really need solo movies for to lead into a G.I. Joe movie. It's fine if they do it, but G.I. Joe's always been a collective. And I think the characters are strong if they wanted to do solos, but it's more so you only really want to see Duke with everybody else. I don't want
to see Duke with nobody. I want to see Duke in 6 Feet Under.
I keep forgetting you hate Duke. That's a whole nother episode. We're gonna get to the bottom of that. But Dan, I want to pass this to you. Do you think Mortal Kombat's one of those properties that might have benefited more if we got standalone movies of like a standalone Scorpion, standalone Sub-Zero that kind of has the Nick Fury moment where you either have Shang Tsung or Raiden kind of collecting everybody at the end of these solo movies? Or do you think Mortal Kombat should always be an ensemble?
Good question. I think it works for two characters, mainly. I think it works for Liu Kang and Kung Lao because they already had their own separate game, Shaolin Monks.
Yes.
And it seems, because, again, Liu Kang is the champion, it would make sense that, you want to recruit your champion first.
Right.
Mortal Kombat has such a big mythos. Like, you have the other realms, Edenia, where Katana is from. Like, do you want to even include Outworld taking over Edenia? You could do Special Forces with Jax and Sonya, where they hunt Kano. So you're getting 3 people in there. And you could even include Cabal because he's Black Dragon.
And then you can do a Sub-Zero Scorpion movie.
You could do Sub-Zero's like mythology.
Right.
Yeah, because they've had their own standalone games. So it could benefit, but I think the majority of people want to see Mortal Kombat. That's just what I think. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it so much, but I'm not clamoring for a standalone Sub-Zero movie. I'm not clamoring for a Liu Kang movie or a Johnny Cage movie. When I played the game, I fell in love with the actual tournament idea. I thought that was really awesome, and the first 2 Mortal Kombat games are great. I still have both of those cartridges for the Super Nintendo. I got to play those now. It's been a while. But,
right? I swear I felt that right after I finished watching it. Like,
break out the cartridges. Kids
yeah,
these days. What's that?
They probably collected a fair amount of dust.
You know that you weren't supposed to do that, by the way. I mean, we all did.
It always worked.
That's what I was gonna say. It always worked. It's like they tell you don't take your shirt to wipe off your PlayStation 2 games, like your PlayStation 2 disc. But when you didn't wipe it off and it didn't work, and then you wiped it off and it worked, it's like, well, someone has some explaining to do. Why is it that it only works when we do the things that you say we shouldn't do? Like, you maybe should figure that out so we don't have to 800 times just to get the damn thing. Like, I just picture the cartridge is just like, hey, can you stop? Like, it's not doing anything. Like,
it did. Every time I played Super Mario Brothers on our original Nintendo and it acted up, it was good.
Right in, pops right out.
I agree with Pete in his with a lot of his assessments. Goro, if you listen to when we reviewed the first Mortal Kombat movie, Goro was one of my favorite characters growing up. He looks just like his design and his idea. I was blown away as a kid. And you know, he looked better here, obviously with CGI, but he's like one of the best like sub bosses in video game history. And you have him fighting in a barn on some guy's front lawn. And it's like, that's not epic. Not epic. Why couldn't he fight in his lair? Why couldn't they fight in Goro's lair? Cole, I get what they were trying to do. Like he was going to be the surrogate for the audience. Like, oh, you know, we're experiencing everything through his eyes. But you know, there was a character from Mortal Kombat 10. If you wanted to go with the whole Scorpion bloodline, there's a character from Mortal Kombat 10 called Takeda Takashi, and he's part of the Shirai Ryu. That's Scorpion's clan. So if you wanted to go with that whole revenge route, he was right there. Takeda was right there. I was also kind of annoyed with the whole Arcana thing. I was like, I didn't realize we were playing Magic the Gathering all of a sudden. I thought this was Mortal Kombat. If you wanted to do that, like I feel like it would make sense with Liu Kang and Kung Lao, because if you wanted to dip into the martial arts like the Chi, you know, like Shang-Chi's going to do, or like Iron Fist does, like they tap into their inner potential. That's fine. But like, why Kano? And his Arcana is shooting a laser from his eye. Why one eye? Why wouldn't it be both eyes?
Right.
Because it's the eye that got scratched.
And
so I get because.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I get because obviously the character in his one eye, it's the metal plate. But if we're going just off of people's powers, like Liu Kang doesn't just shoot one fireball from his hand, like he could shoot multiple. So why wouldn't both? You know.
I mean, because it would have even been great storytelling if it wasn't both, and then Sonya kills him by putting a blade in one of the eyes, and then the other eye survives, and it's the accurate eye from the comics. And then obviously they have to put the plate on or whatever. So I'm like, you still could have done it, but it's to the point where it's like, it just reminded me of anime. Like any anime you watch, that's exactly how every one of them beats the bad guy. It's like, but you just have to believe in yourself. And it's like, I believe in myself now. Like I could have done this 40 episodes ago, but I'm here now and I believe in myself.
The ultra forced like moments where they bicker because they want to, you know, get his Arcana out and everything. It's like,
right. Yeah, because I could have sworn Raiden was just like, it's kind of like finding the inner you. Right. And then that's how you unlock it. It's why Cole had to, you know, stepping up as the husband and the dad. And, you know, Sonya just obviously stealing it. Jax kind of, you know, believing in himself to be able to save Sonya. It was so weird that essentially Kano got his just by unlocking his inner asshole. Like, essentially his Arcana was just like, you've reached ultimate asshole.
So there's hope for me yet.
It's like, here's your laser.
What about Jax? So his Arcana was growing metal arms.
Right.
Super lucky that they gave him metal arms already.
Right. Picture if they gave him back his actual arms, and then it's metal
Arcana going to be if he didn't lose his arms? Like, oh, I guess it just kind of goes on the fly there.
No,
there's a joke there.
He had his regular arms. Colossus. His Arcana would have just turned him into the Rock. That's all it would have been.
Colossus.
He would have evolved into like his Charizard, which is the Rock.
Overall, I thought it was there was a lot of missed opportunities. Like, you know, there's in the beginning when Cole is in the MMA ring getting his ass whooped, and his daughter is like, "Oh, give him the uppercut." So me being an idiot, knowing the games, you know, when you uppercut someone, they go flying 20 feet in the air.
Right.
I was like, oh, at the end, he gets his glowy suit, and they're like, oh, give him the uppercut. I was like, oh, it's going to knock Goro's head off. That's going to be awesome. He uppercuts him, and he just kind of, it's like a mild inconvenience to Goro. Like, like I have to try now. Oh, like, why didn't they just, and that's a Johnny Cage finisher, uppercutting the head off.
Yes, it
he
is.
Could have done it.
Also, right, by the way, when they do Johnny Cage, if I don't get the split nut punch, I'm going to be very angry. That is, anyone who's never played Mortal Kombat, a game that has nothing but skilled fighters, that is the most coveted move of everything. It's right up there with Get Over Here. The split nut punch. It is golden. It was my go-to with Johnny Cage. But no, I am with you. They even made I think it was his daughter who said it, but somebody in the movie even made a left, right, up, down kind of comment of like, you know, like when you have to do the move set in the actual video game, they were like saying that as if like someone should do that. And I was just like, I kind of like how you slid that in there. I
missed that.
They were it was someone being sarcastic, like, oh, you should have went left, right, up, down. And I was just like, okay, I like that. That was nicely put in there. Huh. But I mean, Dan, your issues with it, I very much feel, and I do think this movie did take a lot of, and I tell you, this is usually the biggest deterrent. It's why Detective Pikachu worked, because half the world has no idea what the fuck a Detective Pikachu is. There's legit 2% of the world that has any idea what that storyline is. It's why it worked. Now, if you did Ash and you didn't do it accurately, heads would roll, right? So when you do Mortal Kombat, I'm like, it's a struggle because part of you wants to make it for us. The other part of you wants to make it mainstream. That's why I think they gave us Cole, because if you just give us Liu Kang and all these guys, it's kind of just like half the theater is like, yes, we were raised on that. And then the other half is just like, I've no idea what's going on here. So like you said, it's kind of giving the mainstream a character they can kind of grow with, that it's like they're experiencing it all for the first time together. And that's why I tell you, it's always a mistake to make movies mainstream. That's not how today's world is. It's very reactionary, meaning if you made this movie a carbon copy of the video game we grew up on, where you're throwing Goro in the pit, or like you said, you're uppercutting him and the head pops off, we would enjoy this movie so much, we would tell Tia, who is not familiar with the games, that it's great, and Tia would go watch it. Same way WandaVision worked. Half the people had no idea what the hell was going on. It's why you guys sat and listened to my theories for like 8 damn weeks, because it's just like, I have no idea what's going on. So to me, it's like, we will lead mainstream. We will tell them what's good and what's not good. But when you cater to them, it leaves us out. And we're sitting there just kind of like, well, we're what makes up your fan base, is the people. We only went to go see it because we loved the games, you know? It wasn't because a trailer blew us away. It was based off of what we love. So to me, I think movies' issues going forward will always be catering to mainstream. And when you do that, you kind of cut all the goodness out of movies to pertain to people that honestly could care less. So I think that's why we didn't get a lot of what we wanted. But hopefully, if they do a sequel, they can fix all that. Like I said, all it takes for me to say that sequel was a success, split nut punch. That's all I need. I'm telling you. That is it.
Let me ask you something, bud.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you rather, going forward, another movie or a TV show that could possibly flesh out a lot more over the course of 9 to 12 hours?
I don't know, because again, it was the issue that I had with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's just too mainstream. Like, I feel like there's no way to get out of it being too mainstream. So it's like, are you going to flesh it out and make it more accurate? Because if you do that, I'll take it for sure. But to me, Mortal Kombat's too big box office. It is. The name alone means something. So it's like, I always want the big stage feel. I want it in the movie. But you know, if you want to do like Dan was saying, if you want to explore the other realms in a TV show, kind of like how the Continental for John Wick is not in the same timeline as John Wick. So it's like you're exploring this world that existed before where you're at in present day. I don't mind that. Like I said, I would love to see the tournament that they lost. I'd love to see how Raiden and those guys lost. So there are things you can do. It's just the idea of you got to really kind of capture who your audience is and just focus in on that. It's why Invincible is so good. I've never read a comic, but everything Pete, you and Joel keep telling me, it's lining almost right up.
It's very close.
So, you know, to me, I'm just like, in The Boys, I mean, to think that The Boys had to say no to certain things for a show that looks like they say no to nothing, lets you know that they wanted to be as accurate as possible, but Amazon was just like, whoa, hold on.
I've never read The Boys, but I've read a lot of Garth Ennis, and that's not surprising.
Yeah. No, I've read a little bit of The Boys, and I was just like, oh, this is pretty cool.
They definitely had to. Like, the moment between Starlight and the Deep was a lot worse in the comics. That is a lot worse.
That is
and involved more players. So they definitely needed to split from that.
To tone that down a little bit. No, but I mean, to me, it's all about capturing that true essence of what your property is, and I kind of feel like they dropped the ball a little bit. Yeah, I am so with you, Dan. Now I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, because you can even ask Trevon. I was hyping up Goro so much when we broke down the trailer, and I'm sitting there watching, and I'm just like, all right, I guess that's like, you know what it reminded me of? I was the only one when we did our review for Infinity War. I was the only one who read all the Thanos comics, so I was very familiar with the Black Order. I love the Black Order. They're my favorite team outside of the Avengers in Marvel. So I'm like, I'm ready. And then when I see how they did Ebony Maw, I just said, oh, for fuck, come on, really? So whatever. So that's essentially what I felt watching Goro. I was just like, it's Ebony Maw all over again. It's just, we're going to float him out in space and he's going to freeze to death. It's just like, why? Why would you do Goro like that? Why? Look how big he is. And Cole is just like, I'm going to slice this guy. It's just like, really? Close combat is what you're telling me defeats Goro? Like, what?
Terrible.
No, not a fan of that.
Everybody knows from the first game you don't get in close to Goro. Period.
Never get.
You jump kick the son of a bitch, and that's it.
That's it. To me, it's just like, it's like when you're fighting Mike Tyson. It's like if someone told you, yo, someone knocked out Mike Tyson. How did they catch him sleeping? No, just straight up punch for punch. No fucking way. And then you watch and you're just like, oh my God, they did. It's like, that shit never happened.
Goro was having a bad day. He was having an off day. You know, it happens to the best of us.
The worst of worst days that he could have, he had in that day. All right, Tia, you're going to round this out. What were your thoughts on this movie?
So I wrote notes because I needed to keep everything together. So I'm going to go with the good first. I actually liked the fights. I thought the fight scenes were pretty cool. Yeah, I had no problem with the choreography, especially any scene that involved Joe Taslim. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, but the gentleman who played Sub-Zero, phenomenal. Really loved his fight scenes. I loved his character as a whole. I thought he did a really good job in just being an absolute bad guy and evil and ruthless. Because when I tell you, you know, you never expect in movies and TV shows for them to kill children. And I'm like, oh, you're willing to go there. You know, so I thought that he was just a really fantastic character, and I'd love to see him back. I was kind of sad when he was killed at the end. But I guess I'm just understanding that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll see, this is the last we'll see of him, but I was sad when he died just because I was like, man, that guy knows how to be a bad guy. Like, I appreciate when actors know how to be bad guys, but not have it be just so stiff. He was just really great in it. I also really loved Ludi Lin as Liu Kang, which then piggybacks on some of your guys' criticisms that there wasn't enough of him. The scene where he describes how he killed someone who is essentially a child human trafficker, and how he killed him. I really enjoyed that story, and I enjoyed his sort of empathy that he displayed the entire movie. And Ludi Lin is a good actor. I didn't understand why they didn't want to give him work to work with. So definitely would love to see his character expanded on more. I thought the movie was visually really good. I didn't have really a whole lot of issues with CGI or anything like that. I laughed a little at Jax's baby arms at one point, but you know, it's just so comical. And I think, Juwaan, you were the one who said it. I didn't mind that they weren't in a tournament. I know that's the whole thing in Mortal Kombat. And granted, that would be really cool to see, but I think it makes sense for like the bad guy to want to kill off his competition beforehand. So I ultimately didn't mind, especially if they're going to make a sequel. Hopefully then we'll see the tournament. I will say that the line delivery of them revealing Mortal Kombat, and it's called Mortal Kombat. It's just such a terrible line reading, which brings me into my negatives. I dislike the Arcana thing. Had a very like Super Saiyan, Dragon Ball Z vibe to it. I dislike that the whole movie was focusing around Cole. That could be an actor thing. I'm not the biggest fan of Louis Tan. I mean, I want to say that I don't hate him. I just think that he has a little bit of an overinflated sense of self, and it kind of comes out in his roles a little. It was corny at some points. I hated this. The scene I hated was like they're getting their ass kicked the entire movie, right? They're getting their ass kicked, and in a split second, they're like, "I got this. Let me take this person because I have a beef with them and everything. I got this. I'll get that person. Easy peasy." It's like, why wasn't it easy peasy before? 2 seconds ago, someone got killed and you were getting your ass kicked. And then suddenly they're all like, haha, here's the Avengers Endgame plan where we're all, fisting together and, hoorah and stuff like that. And I just was like, this.
They have their powers now. They have their powers now, right?
They had their powers. Liu Kang had his powers. Kung Lao had his powers. Like, a lot of them
that was
had
more
their
of
powers.
Jax was like, let's go. Let me give me whatever his name was, right? Jax,
yeah, I don't know. He kind of delivered it. He delivered a little oddly as well, but it's just a gripe of mine. I just didn't like that. Whatchamacallit? Kano was a little annoying. I know that he was there for the comic relief, but at one point I really wanted to slap him, especially in the moment where he's being incredibly like racist towards Liu Kang and Kung Lao, and I'm like, someone put like. I wanted Kung Lao to take the chopstick that he was eating the egg roll with and just stab it in his eye. It was just so annoying.
To be fair, the racist thing, not really. But in every video game, that's why I said he unlocked his ability was ultimate asshole. That's what Kano is. Video game. Like, that's legit who he is in his true essence.
Yeah, so I mean, I imagined that. So mission accomplished. And then, Jax and Sonya, the few plot holes, Jax and Sonya, they never went like really into. I know they explained why, or they explained when they started researching Mortal Kombat. They never gave a really good enough explanation as to why these two were researching this. Whatchamacallit? And a few things that I have, and you guys could be like, Tia, whatever, why are you, griping about this? But I dislike in movies and TV shows where they have two characters who are speaking two completely different languages and they're supposed to be understanding each other, because I feel as if the people who are writing the movie don't really think that there's a difference. In the beginning of the movie, Scorpion is speaking Japanese and Sub-Zero is speaking Chinese. To me, that's as if they put, someone who spoke Spanish and someone who spoke Italian in a room, and neither can speak the other language. They can only speak their own language, and they're talking, but yet they're having a full-blown conversation. I know that's it's not the point, but it's something that stood out to me. And again, I have to throw this out here because I'm a girl, and I did notice that the only 3 women really in the movie had really minimal roles. And I know, again, that's probably not the point, but one doesn't speak at all and gets sliced in half. The other has very minimal role and gets killed. And the other, Sonya, gets lambasted and kind of ostracized for most of the movie because she doesn't have an arcana, and then gets sexualized by Kano for most of the movie, and that I don't know. That's my thing with it. So
I was gonna say, if your issue is her being sexualized by Kano,
no, I know I've seen the video. I was gonna say I've seen the video game, and I'm glad they at least went with a different costume for something.
Oh yes, no, for sure. But I will say this to you. To me, in my opinion, in the Mortal Kombat world, some of their more iconic characters are women. So I do believe,
which I would have loved to see that more put into the movies.
I think we will in the second one. Because Katana is one of their biggest characters. There's no way you make Katana a secondary character whenever we get to Katana. And I think Sonya will have a larger role because if they're sticking to the games, Sonya and Johnny go hand in hand. So it'll be a lot of Johnny trying to impress Sonya. So it should heighten her a lot. But they definitely, I mean, I get your point. But to me, it was a slap in the face to almost all of their important characters that they kind of put in the background.
Well, they did with the whole Cole thing. And that's why it's like, if I were a fan of Mortal Kombat, I would be a little peeved about Cole. Wasn't there another character that Louis Tan could have played who actually exists within Mortal Kombat instead of making him a completely different character? And, because you have him have this moment where he gets his arcana, and it feels, it's supposed to feel really amazing, and it's supposed to feel really earned. And then right after, you have Jax kind of going through the same thing, and his moment is overshadowed by a character who essentially didn't really need to be made. So, that's my point in that.
Yeah. No, I'm completely with you. And I will say, we discussed it last night on Figure It Out, the pre-show. We did pick up that they were speaking two different languages to each other, and neither one understood what the other one was saying. But that's what I loved. I loved how they were talking to each other, and they were kind of just nodding, but not really understanding what the other one was saying. But I didn't. They would speak in English.
Well, and I didn't get that. I didn't get that if the point was that they didn't understand each other. I was hoping it wasn't in the case that the director, whoever wrote it, was just like, kind of like, they understand each other. And it's like, no, they're speaking two different languages. If it's one of those things where they're just talking and they don't understand each other, that's, one thing. But I was hoping it wasn't in the other direction, because I'm like, that is completely tone deaf, and that sort of shit needs to be wrapped up.
I think he was trying to do too much good. Like, he was trying to keep them accurate to their actual races. And it's like, that's great, but I've never played a Mortal Kombat game where Scorpion and Sub-Zero were talking to each other in anything but English. So it was just, for me, I was kind of just like, I guess you're basing it off of the fact that the two actors come from the respective languages that they're speaking, because it's not based off of the game. I've never played it, and I was just like, I guess I skipped this part. I don't know who they're talking to. Like, no, it's always in English. So I was just like, okay, that's weird. But all right, before we get out of here, I want to pose this question to everybody. In the last few Mortal Kombats, there have been add-on characters. Ninja Turtles, from the DC universe, from the Killing universe, like Freddie. Pete, I want to start with you. Would you be a fan of a Mortal Kombat movie where it is a hidden cameo where Rambo is killing people in one of these Mortal Kombats?
Rambo specifically?
Well, yes, more so anyone, but for you, how dope would it be to see on screen Rambo fighting somebody in Mortal Kombat?
I don't know if Rambo would be my first choice, but I mean, I'm a very easy person to please when it comes to movies. I'm going in this just purely to have fun, no matter how nonsensical it might be. It takes a lot for me to really dislike a movie. I might have complaints about it. I might bitch about it a little bit, but I'm mostly going to like it. So, yeah, I'm game for Rambo. Like, he pulls out the bow and arrow and starts blowing people up with it, like from 10 feet away. Cool. Let's do it. But I forgot that they put Ninja Turtles into it. I would love to see Shredder do some fatalities. Not for nothing. Yes. I'm a Shredder guy.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh my God! Now I'm thinking.
I mean, it's just he's begging for it with them claws and the. He could throw somebody up, have him land on his shoulders like Lex Luger, just do like a press or something.
I'm just picturing the pissing contest between the bad guys if Shredder shows up. It's just like, well, who's in charge now? That guy's really scary. I think we should maybe listen to him. So Shredder is who you'd like to see appear in a Mortal Kombat world. I like it. I like it. Dan, I'm going to pose this to you. Who would you like to see? And I'm posing this to everyone for people I think they would like to see. How dope would it be to see RoboCop in the Mortal Kombat world?
I was going to say the Terminator. I think that would be either one. RoboCop, Terminator. I wouldn't want to see any of the horror icons like Predator, the Xenomorph, like Freddy, because at that point it's like, why would Freddy be competing in a tournament? Or like, why would?
I mean, you could say maybe his soul was stolen, and the only way to get it back was to help win the tournament.
Yeah. So to me, I think Terminator would make the most sense, because if you wanted to say like, oh, because the Terminator's always going after a chosen one, what's his name? John Connor. John Connor, thank you. So it's always going after John Connor. It's like, oh, well, now I'm after Johnny Cage's kid, Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade's kid, Cassie Cage. Like, oh, I've come to kill her. And now it's like, oh, shit, well, we got to defend Earthrealm while also fighting off a weird skeleton monster. Oh, we could do that. I'm a huge Turtles fan. So just out of like morbid curiosity, that'd be funny to watch, because they're outside of the first comic book, they're not killers. The world doesn't know them as brutal killers.
Right.
So I would just imagine like, they enter the tournament, like everything's awesome, kung fu and martial arts, and then Sub-Zero rips someone's spine off, and Mikey's like, holy shit, dude, this is not what we signed up for, guys.
I will say a tag team of Splinter and Raiden versus Shredder and Shao Kahn would be the pay-per-view of the century.
That'd be interesting.
Because at that point, it would just be like, Splinter, you can kill, but how far are you willing to go? Because Shao Kahn with that hammer and Shredder, they will murder you and not even think twice. And I'm just picturing a world where Raiden looks over and he's like, Splinter, you're killing no one. Why are you only knocking them out? Like, what is this? Like, we kill here. But no, to see the Turtles in that world. And I would love to see the visual of the Turtles in the crowd as spectators, but they're wearing long trench coats and the top hat. And like everyone is just noticing, like, are you Turtles? Like, what is that? But no, they definitely have to be spectators for sure. So I like that. So Pete, yours was Shredder, and Dan, yours was Terminator, right?
Yes.
I like it. Trevon, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Okay.
I know you're a Power Rangers fan, but Power Rangers would not be able to work in Mortal Kombat, I don't think. So I tell you right now, Tommy would get his head separated from his body.
Did you watch Superpower Beatdown? Did you watch Superpower Beatdown?
I did. But wait, are you talking when Tommy fought Ryu? Was it when?
Yes.
I think it's when he fought
Ryu. There's another one though. There's a one when he was the White Ranger. He fought Scorpion.
He fought Scorpion?
Hold on.
Tell me he beat Scorpion.
Hold on.
All right, sure. I tell you right now, that's a load of shit right there. Scorpion would have a
White Ranger versus Scorpion. Yep.
And White Ranger won?
Yep.
Who would you like to see, Trevon, into the world of Mortal Kombat?
Oh, man. I don't know do you know who Lord Draken is?
Yeah, of course.
I would probably that character in the live action like realized thing. I really want to see that character live action, so that I shamelessly say that just because I want to see a live action.
I would love to see that, even though I think any character in Mortal Kombat would have a field day with Power Rangers. I would say this. It would be visually pleasing for when they say finish him and like Draken summons his Megazord and it just squashes the opponent. Like legit just leans over and just goes, ah! And it's just like fatality. It's like, oh, that was pretty dope. But I do find it a hard time seeing Tommy there summon his Megazord with the flute, having someone watch him do that. Like, no. The time he takes to summon him, there's a harpoon through his chest already. Like, Scorpion's retracting it by the time the Zord gets there. Okay. But no, I like it. I like your specific pick because that is that's probably the most powerful character in Power Rangers. So it's like the extreme of Power Rangers. Yeah. But if you tell me like Jason versus Scorpion, I'm like, nah. I don't know that. No. I think Billy dies. Tia, I'm going to pass it to you. Who would you like to see? I was thinking for you, Tia, I was thinking just Joel Kinnaman anything, but specifically, what is it, Takashi Kovacs?
Oh, Takashi Kovacs from Altered Carbon would be so awesome. That would be great. I
that would be awesome.
I think he could hold a little bit of his own, you know. I think it could happen. That would be pretty epic. I was trying to think of, like, say, who else I'd like to see compete, and I didn't have too many. I kind of did like the idea of Freddie Krueger, though, because I know that they've done, like, the horror characters with Mortal Kombat, and I kind of like the idea of it, him, like, bringing them into the dream realm and everything so that he has the advantage and shit like that. I kind of like the idea.
I like it a lot. I think they could explore this in their animated movies for sure. Listener Jim, who would you like to see brought into the Mortal Kombat world?
I was first going to go with Neo from The Matrix.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
But I'm kind of torn between him and the big bad Lord Vader.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, that would be a force. Oh my God. Vader probably wouldn't even have to do much, but just force choke everybody.
I know.
It's simple as that. Like, at some point, they would have to create a new rule that you're not allowed to bring Lord Vader to the tournaments. Like, you'd be like the LeBron James of Mortal Kombat, where everyone's trying to get him, and it's just like, all right, it's unfair. You can't use Vader anymore.
Wait, I just thought of something.
Go ahead, Tim.
You know how we're getting Space Jam again, Looney Tunes? The Looney Tunes versus Mortal Kombat. God. If you want to go completely bonkers, you just bring in Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, Tasmanian Devil. There you go.
So they'll never be able to touch them.
So essentially, you're saying Space Jam, but with murders.
Yeah. You know how, like, in Space Jam they had to have a basketball tournament in order to win. It's like instead they have a fighting tournament.
There are one or two alternatives that can happen there, and it's two extremes. Either A, like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, all of the Mortal Kombat characters are going to start doing fatalities on the Looney Tunes, and they're not going to work. Like, you just pop heads off, and one of them grows back or something. Yep. And they're looking around like, what the fuck is this?
That's just a Tuesday for me.
Or vice versa. Like, somebody's going to kill one of them, and they're like, succotash, it never worked before. Like, something like shit like that.
Yep.
I mean, remember, like, they were like, Elmer Fudd was constantly blowing Daffy's, like, beak behind him, and he's like, this happens all the time. I'm used to it.
I will say, I am picturing in my head Bugs Bunny doing a fatality and then wiping the blood on his face and then completely going, what the fuck is happening? Did Bugs just rip a head off? Like, and he's rubbing blood on his face?
There's another, wait a second now, now we're going down this rabbit hole. What if, like, Bugs Bunny just wipes, it doesn't even wipe the blood off with his hand, he just, like, dunks the carrot in it, like,
yes.
What? Doc? Like, some crazy shit.
Oh my God, if Bugs uses a carrot to kill somebody and
stabs him right in the eye and then
he whittled it. He whittled it to be a blade.
I love it.
Woo, man.
Somebody
like
needs to do a graphic.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I never thought we needed Looney Tunes versus Mortal Kombat, but I tell you right now, that video game would sell.
Wile E. Coyote with all of the the Acme bombs they can just set around somebody.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm picturing that now. And his fatality is using Roadrunner to finish you off. Like he's there, meet, and then like you die, and then it's just like damn.
The possibilities are endless.
They are so endless.
The graphics that could be made from this.
What did you do to you? What have you done? Goodness.
I just gave you gold. You're welcome.
I mean, the whole meme of this episode will be, we reviewed Mortal Kombat. What did it cost you? It cost me the innocence of the Looney Tunes. Like, I now can only picture Bugs Bunny just snapping necks out here.
And in it, Pepe Le Pew would just weird people out. He would chase them enough until they're like, enough, I'm done. Your persistence.
His fatality would be he actually catches up to you and kisses you in the mouth. Like that would be what.
And then you die.
And then you die. Yeah, the kiss of death. That's what Pepe Le Pew would give you.
Do you remember what was the Nightmare on Elm Street? I think it was either 3 or 4 when he kisses the girl with asthma and he like sucks all the air out of her
face. Yes, that could 100% be Pepe.
That was probably 4. I feel like that was 4.
I think it was 4. I think you're right.
I'm trying to see here so I can get you guys out of here. I would probably add Lobo. I would probably add Lobo.
Okay.
Lobo is the guy that's just meant for Mortal Kombat. He is. And I would like, to me, we've never seen someone use a vehicle as a fatality. And to see him use his wheel to like grind someone's head into the ground is something I very much enjoy. And then you see him turn around and then light the cigar. I kind of want that desperately. So probably Lobo. And then I'm going to say it. I know where you're coming from, Dan, but Jason Voorhees in Mortal Kombat. But Pete and Tia, because you guys know where my heart lies with Jason Voorhees. Do you guys know what my fatality would be for Jason?
Would it be No,
it would be 2 sleeping bags with cheerleaders in it. And they're just crushing you to death.
Wow.
That is my...
I was going to say,
fatality.
Jason Voorhees and Sub-Zero kind of have something in common. They both like putting human limbs in something that eventually cracks it.
Yeah, they do enjoy that. They do 100% enjoy that. They do. That would be a strange friendship. They just never have to talk. It's just a nod once in a while.
Like,
it's like he knows what I said. I said that's it.
They complete each other's sentences.
Right? Oh, how hilarious would that be? Like that's the only time Jason talks is to complete Sub-Zero sentences.
Also, Deadpool would be perfect for this.
Deadpool, Harley Quinn, they would be amazing for this world, 100%. Especially because it would just get annoying to the characters when they find out they can't kill Deadpool. It's just like, what? I blew your head up. How are you still here? Like, what did you do? Wolverine also would be a nice crossover to come over into this world, especially him going berserker. And Hulk versus Goro would be a battle I would pay money to every day of the week. But all right, we could go on forever. This was a great review of Mortal Kombat. I kind of feel like it was balanced. The hate wasn't really hate. It was kind of just like constructive criticism. So I appreciate it.
Dan was taking it easy on you, Juwaan, for the sake of your friendship. He wanted to say more, but
I could have gone on for an hour.
Dan also owed me one because if we ever potted about anything DC, Dan would probably go for like 6 hours of just like I could just imagine just like a flamethrower coming out like of his mouth of all the dislike there. But no, I want to thank you guys for joining me for this episode. We have literally ruined the innocence of both children and Looney Tunes. So they'll never be the same. Right now, at this moment, Cartoon Network just pulled it from all of their everything. But I want to thank Pete. I want to thank listener Jim for joining us. I want to thank Dan. Thanks. I want to thank Tia. I want to thank Trevon. I usually give you guys a quick drop, so that's what I'm going to go do now. Trevon, Invincible finale this week. You'll be doing a review for it?
Yes, I will. I can't wait. I have a theory. I know nothing about the comics. I have a theory about what they call the Viltrumites in general. So I have a theory about them, but don't tell me. But yeah, so yeah, that's it. Yep.
Nothing for me. Nothing
That's
for
it.
me.
I'm excited to see it.
Let them know your page, Trevon, so they know what.
Nerd with the Tech, everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Eventually, I'll do more reactions. But come on, subscribe, like, get me up there.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys are following Nerd with the Tech. Listener Jim, you are with the Kinda Nerdy Dudes and the Kinda Nerdy Network.
Yes,
you guys
sir.
had an episode tonight, right?
Yep. We reviewed the Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier. We didn't get together last week, so we kind of went through everything tonight, and we kind of touched on Mortal Kombat too. Patches hadn't watched it yet, so we tried not to spoil too much of it for him.
I invited him, and he was just like, I didn't see it. And I was just like, oh, okay, all right.
But yeah, everything Kinda Nerdy Network. You got everything you need there.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys are following Kinda Nerdy Girls and Kinda Nerdy Dudes on all your social medias. Dan, you guys did break down Mortal Kombat. Now you've broken down this Mortal Kombat. What else you guys got coming up?
We have reviewed. Our new episode is going to be the Sylvester Stallone classic Cliffhanger. That drops on Thursday. First time I've ever seen it. I loved it. It's so bad, but I love it.
I was just about to say, hold on, if you loved it, I'm real curious how this episode's about to go. But then you cleaned it up with, it was so bad, but I loved it.
Yeah, John Lithgow with a weird British accent. Sylvester Stallone trying to bang Michael Rooker's girlfriend. Good time.
Sounds like Sylvester Stallone. That sounds like Sylvester Stallone, 100%. I will say the 70s, the 80s, and a little bit of the 90s had this weird problem with accents and who should be the ones to have the accent. I swear, for the longest, I thought Al Pacino was Hispanic. I swear to you, I really did. Only to find out that he wasn't. It was just like, why did you keep casting him for these roles then?
And then you go back as an adult and you watch Scarface and you're like, how did anyone believe that? How did I believe that when I was younger?
I'll tell you right now, I ran into many of Cubans thinking they sounded like that. And when they started talking, I was just like, what are you
Al Pacino?
like, why do you sound like that? And they're like what? I'm like, you sound nothing like Scarface. And they're like, no. He sounds nothing like Cubans. Like, wow. That's where you're wrong. Pete, I'm ready for this Star Wars episode that me and Joe have been begging you for, but I'm also ready to be on something else of Pete's Basement. What can we expect, man?
You know what the funny thing is you're far more consistent than the rest of the Basement crew, so it's like pulling teeth with some of these bastards. That being said, I'm actually working on one of my first top 10 videos. I've never done something like this before, so I've kind of been just binging just random stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to do one of these myself. So I'm working on a toy video with that, and I'll share my thoughts with you on the next Figure It Out episode. But I've got some unboxings to do, and we've got a Star Wars episode that I'm just going to let you guys kind of just talk, because I don't even know what you two have planned. You and Joe are like, we're going to do a Star Wars episode. I'm like, go nuts. Have fun. I just got to get one more guy involved who's like probably one of the hugest Star Wars fans I know, and it wouldn't be right to have you two going crazy without him going crazy too. So
absolutely.
Sometime next week, we can look forward to that.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited. And if you're doing top 10, you definitely have to talk to the top 10 queen herself, Tia. She legit owns the name Top 10 at this point. But Tia, you and Brittany have just did an episode Sunday or Monday, right?
Yeah, so we just did, I was going to say yesterday, but again, today's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday. So Brittany and I did our top 10 this Monday. We did the top 10 best moms in TV and movies to celebrate in about now a week and a half, Mother's Day, so that should be dropping soon. We do the top 10 every week. We also, last few weeks, are top 10 worst couples, top 10 favorite video games. So it's a lot of fun. We try to do it, we try and do it related to, say, the holidays that are going on, or maybe the TV shows or movies that we've been watching. And then sometimes they're random. So make sure you check that out. Also today, I had an interview with longtime Pixar editor Kevin Knotling, who was the director of the Soul spin-off short 22 versus Earth. So that will be releasing soon. And that was really cool to speak with pretty much an industry veteran. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys check that out. I hope on top 10 best moms, what is it? Peg Bundy? What's her name?
Yes.
I hope she made the list.
Katie Seagal.
There is no mom in television history better than her. The only one that I can even say is close to that is probably her character in Sons of Anarchy. She legit is just like the greatest mom ever. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Trevon.
I don't know if anybody else watches the show, but I need Lorelai Gilmore to be on there. I like her a lot. So,
I never watched Gilmore.
Oh my God, no!
Me neither.
That is the mom.
I'll tell you a really quick story. So if you don't know, I live in New York, and my co-host, one of my best friends, Brittany, lives in Arkansas. First time I went down to Arkansas and I met her family, wonderful people. But I guess everyone who's not from New York thinks that New York is just New York City. And so meeting them, and they're like, is your laugh like on the Gilmore Girls? And I'm like, I've never seen Gilmore Girls, so I don't know what their life is like. So I can't tell you.
It's usually, whenever someone asks that, it's usually never the case. Like, whenever someone's just like, man, we watch Jersey Shore, like, is it really like that in New Jersey? No. Not at all. No, it's a very small percentage. It actually made New Jersey look a lot worse than it already looks to people. But no, that is not how we live in New Jersey. But yeah, so hopefully she made your list, Tia. If she didn't, I will cry. But this wouldn't be the first time you've made me cry listening to Top 10, Tia. But no, she was definitely one of my favorite moms ever. She just smoked in front of the kids, didn't give a shit. Like, I loved everything about her.
I'll give you a free one. Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers was on that list. So.
Over Peg Bundy? What? That's technically her.
I think Peg Bundy was on last year's list because we also did a Mother's Day themed top 10 last year. So we tried not to repeat this year. So you got to go to last year's to see if she was.
Somewhere, as long as in that top 20 mothers, she's in there, I can live with that. She's just the greatest mom ever. But all right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this Mortal Kombat review. And again, no MCR until June, when Loki comes back. So we will be filling that, probably with my review weekly of The Bad Batch. So stay tuned for that, because I will be reviewing it. And the first episode is 70 minutes. Ooh, that's how you get Juwaan excited. That's how
When's that drop, Juwaan?
Actually Tuesday. Drops Tuesday. Because I think Tuesday is May 4th. So it drops on May 4th. Mm-hmm. 70 minutes is how you do it. That is how you do a show. Marvel, take notes. Anyway, thank you all so much. We will see you on the next review. Till then, peace.
Bye, everyone.